Well, hey, and welcome. As you know, I'm Brad Sugars, the chairman and founder here at ActionCOACH, and we're going to look at the firm and what does the firm actually mean to you as an investor, as a participant in what we're doing to buy into the ActionCOACH franchise. And I use the term buy lightly because you don't really buy a franchise, you invest in a franchise, and the ROI you look for is really a big thing. And we'll get more into that as we get through today's session and break down the firm. But if I break it down just quickly for you, this is really about what it is. So whereas the first video is who we are and why we do what we do, today we're going to be looking at more, what is the business that you own? What is the franchise and how does that look? What is the actual firm model, the territory-based model, and how will you make money in this thing? What are the offerings that you have out there to the marketplace? How will you actually charge, bill for those? What is the whole process of that? How do we train you? What's the support like in that? So if we start with this whole thing of your own business, okay? I want to start with the understanding of professional services business, okay? Because a professional services business is very different to a retail business and very different to a food business and very different to a service contracting business. So if you think of our business in lines of, say, a legal firm or an accounting firm or engineering, PR, maybe even like because I always go back and say, which professional services or industries or professions have gone before us. Probably the closest in recent time would be financial services or retirement services or something, financial brokerage, mortgage brokerage, something along those lines is probably the thing. But if we start to understand the advantages of something where you're charging hundreds of dollars per hour, and yes, I'm using the dollar terms because I'm based here in America. I know that it could be pounds or euros or yen or all different things around the world. Our business has a massive repeat business. I always say that in an accounting firm, it's based on, the once a year, the tax return sort of thing is most of their revenue. Whereas for us, we are a full around the year, around the clock business. Our clients are on retainer. Our members are on retainer. They're on a subscription-based business, which is very strong for you cash flow. And as you add and keep, it obviously is a scalable business from that perspective. And I think that's an important thing to remind yourself of if you're going into business for yourself, that it has those distinct advantages. Personally, I would never go into a business that doesn't have repeat business because I think that's one of the most important areas. Second thing I think to look at is what knowledge base are you going to be doing? Most of the people that join us here at ActionCOACH love the idea of being in business coaching because they've got a great business knowledge or a business background, whether it's in sales, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in management, or even. But interestingly enough, I've got a lot of ex-military join us here at ActionCOACH. We run a great coaching business. A lot of, I've even got teachers, nurses, a lot of ex-business owners, obviously. A lot of people that were road warriors coming in and saying, it's time for me and my family to make a different decision. A lot of execs kids have, flown the coop and they're like, okay, now I want to do something for me type thing. And so really, whether you're that younger, hungry to build your first, or whether you're at the other end where you're like, I've got the capital, I want to invest it now and build a whole business employing some of those younger people to go out and do the coaching and that sort of thing, your knowledge base can be used dramatically in this business. I think that's important. I want to touch on why coaching, okay? First and foremost, the globalization of business has been so rapid since the pandemic that we sit here and we say, how does this virtualization, globalization, change in the employment methodologies around the world? Well, all of that is massively impacting business. And so the change in business, and there's one thing you got to remember about our profession, change is good for us. Whether it's economy going up, economy going down, whether it's lack of employment or massive employment, whether it is any change is really good for our business because it means people need to go somewhere to get knowledge to be able to get to that next phase or get coaching to get to that next phase. It's like At the start of the pandemic, we saw the same sort of response as we saw in 2008 downturn, that people like that were a little bit, you know, oh, well, I don't need a coach. A pretty big ego around it. All of a sudden, we're like, hey, maybe I need to go and get a coach and get help from that person I've been watching for a year or two, or that they met with 2 or 3 years back, sort of thing. Second big reason why now is the right time, there's a massive shift to entrepreneurship, whether it is just the millennial generation or the baby boomers coming out of and saying, okay, you know what, I want to work for myself. And a lot of people that worked from home during the pandemic have said, you know, I don't want to go back and do that. So there's this massive shift to entrepreneurialism, to being your own boss. And even if it is a single person that works from home and they're contracting back to that company, they're still taking on other business. They're still wanting to learn how to run their own business, and they're still growing in that way. And so that shift, as we see it more and more, and especially generationally, is really interesting. And the third, of course, is technology. Technology is allowing us to do a lot more through Zoom, through software, through AI, through content development. Technology is shifting the world in an education space in such a dramatic way. And we're seeing this not just in business coaching and business education, but obviously in other forms of education around the world. But that technology is allowing us to give our clients a level of education that they would never have been able to access before, because they didn't want to stop their business and have everyone drive to a place and attend an event. That technology is allowing them to, on their phone, learn immediately what they need to do, when they need to do it. It's allowing them to access their coach immediately anywhere around the world. So these three things are massive parts on why not just being in business for yourself, but being in business with us at this point is very, I guess there's never been a better time is probably the simplest way to put it. Franchising. Let me go through my top 7 reasons why I think franchising is an absolute must, especially for someone who's brand new into owning their own business. Now, if you've owned several businesses before, you'll know most of the advantages of franchising. You'll already understand that. But if you're going into business for yourself the first time, it's always said that in franchising, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Listen, the fact that you have a team behind you that are there to coach you, educate you, promote you, push you, cajole you, you know, kick you in the backside if you need it. But you have that team there to support you through all of this transition is massive. It is a massive, and someone once said it to me, you know, like being in a franchise, almost insurance sort of thing. It's so important to have that team there with you. Training and support. There's no better training and support than when you join a franchise organization. In our business, because we're in the business of training and coaching, we probably step it up a lot of notches. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of notches that we step that up, and so that you can see, and we do a whole video on that later in the process of you examining what we do here at ActionCOACH and how we do that. Speed to systemic operation. What do I mean by that? Well, if you were to start, say, your own restaurant, and you had to start from scratch, where you'd have to do menu development, you'd have to develop the look and feel, you have to develop the layout, the structure, all of the things that you have to develop, the marketing, the graphic design, all of that stuff you have to do yourself. Whereas when you join a franchise, like, let me just give you an example from yesterday. Yesterday, the marketing team put out 30 new memes for social media that every coach in the world can use. And you don't use all 30. You'll select the ones appropriate for you, appropriate for your target audience. The week before, it was 20 infographics got put out by the marketing team. So if you think about that ability to get you into operation real fast, you don't have to do all of that prep work. You're just straight in. I do the training. I start making sales. There's none of this whole, I got to spend 6 months developing, 12 months, 2 years. Like, even if you think of how long it would take you just to write the PowerPoints for the sales training program, no, all you got to do to get the sales training program up and running is make a sale. The training is there online for everyone to do. Your training's done. The workbooks are there for the customers. Everything is complete so that you're straight into making money. It doesn't take you a long period of time. I guess I already touched on this a little bit, the shorter learning curve and creation curve. If you think of the speed to making money and take that as speed to knowing what to do, okay? So your knowledge of how to coach, instead of it taking you years to learn, grow, and master that, here is the systemic approach to it. Instead of years to learn how to make a sale or to transition someone to onboard them to coaching so that they stay long term, instead of that taking you years to learn, how much extra will you make because you learn that in our 10-day training, not over a period of, a year, 2 years, 10 months, however long it might be. The lowering and sharing of costs. This one in franchising is really important. From technology, instead of if you're creating a new website that's going to be $250,000, if you do that yourself, you've got to come with it out of pocket. If you're in a team of 1,000 franchise partners, well, that's all divided up by 1,000 and everyone contributes their share. So that cost sharing allows us to achieve a whole lot more with a whole lot less. Each of us shares our burden or our portion of the pie, and hey, presto, we do that. By the way, I do want to mention that as the CEO and chairman and founder of ActionCOACH Global, I am also one of the largest shareholders of ActionCOACH Master Franchises, so I have a very big investment there. But I also operate firms, okay? So I have employees running the firms for me and partners running the firms for me, but I'm an investor at every level in this business, so it's in my best interest to have the franchisees doing very well because I own that level, the master franchisees because I own that level, and the global office because I own that level too. So I want you to be aware of that franchising is not, and it's really interesting because we have some franchise partners who can make as much or more profit as the global company can based on the fairness of the system and the 10% partnership system that I'll explain to you in just a little while. Having a team in franchising is, I don't know if I can harp on that anymore, but having both a global team and a local team. I had a franchise partner just 2 days ago jump into I think it was in the Facebook group, not even on the Yammer boards. They jumped in there and said, by the way, Yammer's called Evolve now, something like that. They jumped in, put a post up saying, I have a client with this problem and this problem and this problem, any advice? And they literally got 5 pieces of advice within an hour to help them solve that problem for that client. There's nothing can be more rewarding than being able to help a client immediately because you've got such a great assist. Even if it's midnight where you are, somewhere in the world, someone's awake and able to give you that assist. And the building of an asset. I think one of the great things about, we are a territory-based franchise. You build an asset, you build something that as it grows, it becomes worth more and more. And therefore, whether you decide to buy someone else's territory or whether someone else invests and buys your territory, there's a greater asset capability in a franchise than there is in a standalone business. And I think that's really important to understand. All right, so let's dive into the firm, all right? Let's take a look at what it is about the firm and what it is you will be doing. So, one-to-one coaching, okay? This is the lifeblood of our business. It will probably always be the lifeblood of our business, but coaching business owners, CEOs, coaching executives, coaching salespeople, coaching marketers, but one-to-one coaching, whether it is at the ownership level, whether it is at an executive level, that one-to-one coaching is the core business that we do. So, of course, we started out with small to mid-sized companies. So, our average customer was, several employees and several 100,000 to several million in revenue, depending upon the industry. Some industries, it's multi-millions because of margins are lower that want to hire a coach. Others, they could be doing 200,000-300,000 and making enough profit to be able to afford to hire a coach, sort of thing. It just depends on that. But usually that's the size for our one-to-one coaching business. Executives, we coach from Google right down to the smallest of small businesses. So everywhere in between type thing is the size of business that we coach. And it's really more about attitude than it is about size. It's more about their desire to grow, their desire to get better, their desire to achieve more than it is about the size of the business that looks at that. And as I mentioned on the first one, in our future, there'll be more and more certifications for different styles of training being rolled out between now and 2030. And I say between now and 2030 because that's our it's our strategic vision from 2022 went to 2030. So that's where we're working towards. I'm sure when we reset the strategic vision, probably somewhere around 2028, we'll start looking at that. But we got a lot to get done in that meantime. Group coaching and mentoring. When we sit down and we look at group programs, because part of a professional service business is looking at your hourly rate. Okay, so what is your hourly rate in one-to-one? Now, we don't bill on hourly rates because most customers hate paying by hourly rates. Just think about it when you get a bill from your from a lawyer and you go, what? I didn't do 6 minutes on that conversation, you know, that sort of stuff. We don't ever want that to happen. We like to have our people on retainers, on set retainers. We do what we call productized services, I guess is the simple way to look at it. But our group coaching programs and our mentoring allow people at any price point to be able to join us. And that's one of the big things that we've done with our product and service lineup is say, how do we have even the smallest of small business come and work with us, but we still make a solid hourly rate for doing that? And we charge out, or we bill our people out at a solid hourly rate to make that happen, or personally do it yourself type thing. Then we go on to our levels of membership. Membership is really about belonging. Membership is about making sure that they are educated, they're in a community. Now, many of our one-to-one clients are part of membership as well, but they can be separate and distinct in your organization. Some one-to-one clients just want to do the coaching, and some want to be a part of the community and the education and all of those benefits of that side of the business. But as you go more and more into this, you'll start to learn more about what these programs look like and the price points in your region for these sorts of things. So we also do 12-week education programs with our customers, and the way that works is it's designed for both the execs and the owners, but it also goes deeper into the organization, such as the sales training program, the management training program. We can go into the organization and delve deeper. So and they can be run in two different ways. One is the public training. So you would go to, say, 10 of your clients, and each of them might have 1 or 2 salespeople that need training in sales. So you put the whole group together and run it that way. Or you might go to one company that has 15 salespeople and you run the training just for them as an internal program just for them. So again, coaching and education and accountability is what breeds results, but it's also really a definition of what we offer. Finally, the planning side of what we do. We're big, firm believers in planning, from daily planning, weekly planning, but we bring our clients together for quarterly planning their organization, and we bring them together annually for business planning. Now, some of them are bigger and they need that annual planning or that strategic long-term planning done as a private destination type event. But others are smaller and they want to do that stuff in a group, and so that you run it both ways. But all of these programs are what your firm will be offering to the market, okay? And you'll dive deeper into this as we get into the whole process of learning about our business. But as you start to examine the market that you have in your territory and you start to work out, okay, I have a lot more medical businesses, okay, then I got to define what I need to offer. Or I have a lot more solopreneurs, okay, well then my solopreneur membership needs to be strong as well. Or I have a lot of corporations, so I need more executive staff. Your offerings really are determined by the market that you look at. And so as you examine your market and start to understand the business makeup, you'll be able to build your plan from there. And that's part of your training as to how to build that plan, and part of your training, the pre-training and all that. We'll go into that in more detail soon. All right, so let's think about this. What does the firm actually look like on a day-to-day basis? Well, you build a team of coaches that do the coaching, a team of coaches that do the facilitation, the training, the education, run the programs. You also will need, obviously, a form of an admin team behind that. If you're having events, obviously you need a membership manager running the membership events and getting those things and doing it. And some people say, should they be run live? Yes. And we can go into exactly why this is at any point you like, but ultimately, humans love connecting with humans, and especially business people that are running their own business, and especially like the solopreneurs and those with only 1 or 2 employees. They need to get together with other people. It's not just a want, it's a need. They need that connectivity. One of the biggest things that you'll hear from clients and members is, I'm so glad I come here and realize there are other people struggling with the same things I am, and that I'm not alone in this anymore. That is one of the biggest statements I ever see. So once we decide on your territory, and you'll meet with the local recruiter in your area, and you'll decide on what territories there are available and what territory you want to look at, the demographics of your market will determine sort of what you look at. And then second of all, your goals will determine on what you look at. So if I go back to your goals for a minute, if you sit down and say, okay, I want to be making, net $1 million a year, then sit with your recruiter and go through how many territories that will need to be in your market. We like people to have multiple territories. We like franchise partners who want to be millionaires. We like people who want to make $1 million or more a year, because that way we know you are seen as a very big success in your marketplace. We know that you're making plenty of money, therefore, as a representative of the brand, people go, wow, look at, they're making great money. They're a great success. They must be an amazing coach, and that sort of thing. So it's important there. So we do have 3 levels where you can start with us, okay? The operator level, where you come in and take a single territory. And that's where you're going to operate the business yourself, okay? You'll probably even do some of the coaching to begin with as an operator in a single territory. You may do all of the coaching in the beginning as an operator in a single territory. The next layer is where you move to owner, where you choose to build a team of people. You'll probably not do the coaching in the beginning. You might take on a few clients, like the more high-end clients, but you'll be taking multiple territories, usually somewhere between 3 and 5 territories that you'll be taking on. And you'll have the business running, and you'll do a little bit of the work, but you'll be opening multiple territories with a team of people, team of coaches, a team of marketers and salespeople who are opening the operation with you. And finally, the investor. And this is where someone who's looking at 6 or more territories, where your goal is not to run the business yourself. Your goal is to invest, to bring on a CEO or a manager or a GM who will run the entire operation for you. They will build an executive team, obviously, a marketing team, and those sorts of things, a chief coaching officer. They'll build the business that you are investing in. Now, a lot of our investors do like being the front of the business. A lot of our investors like actually being on stage, presenting the seminars, and in many cases, that's because they've had a great business track record. And so they've had a great experience and being a leader of either a very large company or their own business, or they still currently run a very large business of their own, and being the front of Action Coach is something they enjoy doing, being on stage and being seen as that person. But day to day, they're not a part of the operation. Each territory is designated marketing area, DMA. Each territory has a minimum of 10,000 businesses in the market, and you'll see how that's divided when you meet with your recruiter. They'll take you through the open territories in your area, what's available, and the areas that you want to look at. So you buy a territory, you market to those businesses, you offer them the coaching services, the education services, all of those things. You build a team of people that help you with that, and I think that's important. Take that to the next phase. I want it to be really clear that marketing people do marketing, and we'll get to more why they need to be lead generation specialists more than just marketers in a little while. Salespeople do sales, okay? Your business development people, your sales people do that. Coaches do the coaching, and you run the business. Now, you can choose based on your skill set, and we see this happening a lot. you may have a skill set that says, Brad, look, I'm a great marketer. That's been my experience in the past. That's what I've done. So you come into the business and you don't actually bring on marketers doing marketing. Your role is the marketing role of the business because that's your experience. Or maybe it's sales was your experience. So you say, look, I'm going to hire the marketing people. I'm going to hire people to do the coaching, but I'm going to do the sales because that's where I'm a genius type thing. Or you might be the coach, okay? It doesn't really matter. What matters is that there are the three functions plus that administrative operational function that runs the day-to-day of the operation. So the membership programs, the seminars, the events require some sort of an event space, and some of our partners choose to build their own building. So they'll make a real estate play or a real estate investment as well as a business investment where they'll build the office and the training facility for themselves. And some of our partners do have multiple of these because they obviously have multiple territories and therefore multiple real estate investments as part of it. And the coaching requires an office space. Some people use that office space in the beginning as a multi-space, a WeWork, that style of thing, or work out of their chamber or rent a percentage or a portion of an accountant's business and those sorts of things in the beginning. There's many ways to do that. And of course, when you sit down with the team, you can discuss what strategy you think is going to work best for you based on your goals. Because, you know, the bigger the goals, obviously, the bigger things you're going to need. And the faster you want to grow, obviously, the more you're going to need sort of thing. And that, again, that comes back to you and your goals. So what that firm then does, what your team does, is you build that community of business owners and executives and business people. You build a community of strategic partners in your marketplace. And therefore, given that you are on basically a repeat style business, a retainer or a subscription style business, depending on whether it's the one-on-one programs or the group programs, given that that's the thing, as you add and add and add, and of course retain those people, and that's where onboarding comes in, you build a very, very solid business in your marketplace. So that's the ideal of the firm. So your investment, because this video goes around the world, the investment's going to be different everywhere. So your recruiter will actually take you through the actual numbers of this, or you can look further on the web and see that. But we do a very low upfront investment because we are your partner. Okay, so when you look at what it would be to invest in a McDonald's, and you know, McDonald's publishes their numbers, so I'm not speaking out of turn here, but when you look at a $1.5 to $1.6 million investment, when you take all of the different things into account, the amount of debt that you will accrue if you borrow it to build that thing, and then the return on investment of that. That's why they suggest you have 5. If you want to be making $1 million a year, they suggest you take 5 McDonald's territories, if that makes sense. You know, whereas for us, your upfront investment with us is very minimal. If you're going to take on 5 territories and be looking at making that large number, but we do that because we're your partner. We are a 10% revenue share partner in your business. And that's how we see the operation. And it's why we spend a lot of time in recruiting the right people, because we don't charge much money up front. We charge a very small amount so that we then share the proceeds together. Obviously, you get the lion's share of the proceeds, but that's in essence the way that works. There is an upfront training fee for yourself. There's an upfront training fee for each of your team. So if you bring on a coach, they have to attend training, which is a training fee. If you bring on a salesperson, they attend training. There's a training fee for that. And but it's so much better leverage, because if you've got a salesperson and you've got to take your time out of your day, week, or month to train them rather than send them to us, we train them with all of the other salespeople across the planet. It just makes your life so much simpler. And the training is better. Trainees that work together and learn together get a better result and just become better at it. Same with the marketers in your organization, your membership managers, all can be trained and do that stuff with us. Marketing fund, we all contribute globally to the marketing fund. 5% of revenue goes into marketing. 3% is regionally or locally, and 2% of that is invested globally in running a lot of the things we do. Working cap for your business, you're going to make your business plan and work out what that needs to be. But based on the territory you're in, based on your speed, like if you want to grow faster, obviously you need more working cap. You want to grow slower, you need less working, you need less. It's just a matter of your goals and your plans will determine that level for you. So how does your firm make money? Well, I'm pretty clear on it with all of our franchise partners that you make money by retention. Getting a customer, you have to invest money to buy a customer. You have to invest in marketing to get new business. If you want real profitability, it's about retention. And so anytime I see a coach making a lot of profit, I know that they have a solid retention. If they're not making great retention, I know that they're not doing a phenomenal job with their retention. And that's what we have to work on with them. So our system and our intellectual property for coaching is phenomenal. Obviously, 30 years of development, thousands of people have gone before you and helped refine it, make it better, consistently make it better. Our team is consistently working with the regional partner success team and our partner success teams. Just to give you an understanding, we have representatives of our franchise organization in 5 different markets around the world. They will be in the same position as you, but they represent all the franchise partners to us. They come to us with anything that needs updating, upgrading, fixing. It's a challenge that needs work, that is an opportunity for growth, that's something we may not have seen. And that can be different in different parts of the world too, by the way. They come to us with that. We also go to them with feedback. We come to all of our franchise partners for feedback. We release white papers on a fairly regular basis with things that are moving, what we're doing, where we're going, so that you get to read about it, but then give us feedback and your ideas and your thoughts on it. We want that consistently, but that systemic approach is what retains customers. That systemic approach is what builds profitability into this, because we get results with them, we build a relationship with the customer, they stay with us. And if they stay with us, because they come for the education, they stay for the relationships in most cases. So I can't say anything more than, I'm so lucky to have so many great franchise partners out there that help us innovate and help us grow this business and help us keep coming up with new things. That being said, the beta testing, version 1, version 2 of new programs is pretty strong system. And as a new franchise partner, you may inquire to be on beta test of certain things, but usually you've got enough to focus on without trying to help us beta test a new program. So, or version 1, a new program. Usually we'll leave that to those who've gone before you, so that then when you're ready for it, it's on version 2 of any new programs and ready for you to take it and run with it. Your initial training, let me break that down for you. Okay, so pre-training, and pre-training is pretty intense. There's a lot of videos, a lot of reading, a lot of things to get done, okay, to launch your business properly. So we don't leave you on your own and go, okay, all right, go open your business. No, it's the systemic approach to opening your business. Watch this, learn from this, fill this in, do this, do that. We give you all of that. And if you're full-time and really dedicated, 4 weeks will get that done. If you want to do it part-time, like if you're finishing up a contract or you've got another business that you're doing or you've got something else happening and you want to do it part-time, it'll generally take about 12 weeks to get through all of that material. Okay, there's a lot to learn, a lot to see. Just to get yourself to that point where you launch the business, you don't just open the business, if that makes sense. You'll then come and attend 10 days of induction training. That's about 80% of people do that here in Las Vegas live. We do have some of those trainings running elsewhere in the world, and because of travel preclusion of certain parts of the world and restrictions on people to get visas, we do run a version of that is run virtually once a quarter, just to make sure that everyone that wants to be a part of the organization can be. Unfortunately, travel restrictions have made that a little more difficult for some people, but it is a 10-day training. People are like, how do you go for 10 days? Well, you think about everything you've learned in that 4 to 12 weeks, you've got to sit down and start now planning that. And so a lot of what happens in that 10 days is that you actually start to plan that. Now, those trainings are run by other franchise partners. It's not the corporate team running that training. You will have other franchise partners who are actually doing what you do or what you're planning to do come in and give of their time to be able to teach you how to start your business, launch your business. They will be talking to you about real life, what they do every single day. These are people who are achieving great and amazing results out there in the world in their franchise or in their firms, coming in to educate you around what that looks like. Post-training, another 14 weeks. So when you leave, part of the post-training is your launch. So opening the business, launching the business, getting your first customers, how you do all that sort of stuff. And that'll be in partnership with your local master franchisees. They will help you with that. They will take you through it. They'll walk you through it. And in some cases, if you need them to, they can even come and help present the launch with you and open the launch with you. There's a lot of people invested in helping you grow your business. The knowledge acquisition is done through online, through videos, through workbooks, all of that sort of stuff. But the planning and the implementation and the training and the mastery of it is what's done in the live environments. Now, there's not just the live 10 days, then there's live group environments in Zoom calls and so on after that training as well. If I break down the training for you, it starts with how you be the owner, okay? And that really takes you through the structure of owning the business, what that looks like, how to build it and how to do it right. The product ladder, so defining what is your product mix, how are you going to make the product mix for your business. The marketing process, okay? And again, the marketing process and the product ladder, the coach's training is a separate full 5-day training. You can choose to attend that or not. If you want to be a coach, you can choose that. It's a virtual one. It's run everywhere. It's run, I think, once a month, the virtual coach training. But then the marketing, there's again 3 marketing trainings separate over and above. So this is about you planning your marketing, deciding what marketing you're going to use, how you're going to use it, etc., budgeting for it, getting ready for it, knowing what will work. And then there's other marketing training. If you want to be the marketing person, you can go and do those 3 trainings as well. And I'll break that down for you. I think the next video, the one after, I think we break into that. The sales process, again, we take you right through it. You can go and do that, but there is, again, 2 more sales trainings. You as the owner can attend those. If you want to bring another team member on, obviously, they'll invest in doing that. How to run your program, so the operational side of the business. And finally, growing the business, building that plan that you actually walk out of your 10-day program with your plan for your business, your 90-day plan of launching the business, first 90, full plan, all done and dusted, ready to build your business, okay? I mentioned earlier I would touch on ongoing training and support. There is a massive amount of self-directed learning that you can go into. So anything that you want to learn, there's master classes on it, there's reading, there's communication, there's ebooks, there's workbooks. I think in your initial training now, don't quote me on this, I think your initial training has like 72 workbooks that will take you through, and you work through them so that you can build your business and build your plan. That's in your pre-training and your training to take you through all of that stuff. Your local master franchisee and other partners will definitely be a massive support to you in your ongoing. Your local master franchisee will run trainings as well, will run conferences, get-togethers, groups, planning sessions, all of these things they will run with and for you and the other partners in your territory. And finally, globally. Globally, we run a lot of calls, we run a lot of Zoom calls, we run master classes. We have senior partners, firm owners like you out there training others who are newer to the system, or even if it's just an area where, you know what, I just need some upskilling in that. The marketing team releases new marketing stuff every week. The IT team is updating and upgrading on a monthly basis. We don't do stuff on a weekly basis, usually more quarterly when we release new IT updates. Leadership of the organization is consistently challenging you because, you know, sometimes we get too into teaching and not enough into leading and challenging, and that's a big part of it. And that's one of the reasons we have the conferences and the global conference and those regional BizX programs. R&D team is consistently developing things like new 12-week training programs, all of these things consistently on the plan, events, conferences. Yeah, the entire community is there definitely to be your ongoing training and support. And if there's one thing we hear about this is there's just too much. I do a town hall about every 6 to 8 weeks, updating everybody. So I want to touch on something about your firm and about where I believe this could go for you. Being a partner in Action Coach is not just about building a great business. It's about living your legacy. Not leaving a legacy, but living your legacy. You know, the legacy is part of what you do every day. It's not when you're gone, people will go, wow, what a great person. It's living the legacy that you were here for. And that's, I think it's a big part of who we are. And I go back to that whole thing of world abundance through business re-education. And I want you to remind yourself that that vision is why we do what we do. And who we are as people who live our legacy every day, adding value to our community, adding value to our customers, our members, our clients, and getting real results for ourselves in the process. If I can just introduce you, and one of the greatest things for me is that as a community, I don't just get to see our customers grow their business. I get to see you grow your business. I get to see you grow as a business person and an entrepreneur and eventually build amazing things. Kate, when Kate started with us, and now her business is just flourishing, and I get to see the entrepreneur and the businesswoman she's become, and it makes me extremely proud to sit back and start to think of the community that she's built and the results she's got. If I take a look at James's story is a phenomenal one. In fact, he was featured on our TV show in the UK, Business Unusual, and he let him tell you his story at some point. You can get to watch it on the TV show on Amazon UK. But the guy is just achieving his dreams. And we were just in Thailand, in Phuket, for our global conference, and his kids and my kids are all running around the place having a great old time. And I just get to see and love seeing the growth of our team. And I think it's one of the best things. One of my favorite coaches, Bree, she knows she's my favorite because she was a client of ours before becoming a coach. She was a client of Action Coach and decided that, hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Coaching made such an impact on the business she worked in. She wasn't even the owner. She worked in the business, and it made such an impact that she decided this is what she's going to do. And her team are doing phenomenal things today. Usman, who just entered our Hall of Fame, his results in Indonesia, and it's always funny because I always joke that Usman always still looks like he's 25, you know, and it's like, how have you been with me almost 20 years? You still look like you're 20. But this guy is amazing. The level of change he's done to the economy in his country and the level of results he gets with people in his business, and not just the clients, but in the community that he coaches and the charities that he does. So you'll get to meet more of our team as you go through this whole process. So turning your passion into profits in a successful firm, hopefully today gave you a little bit more insight as to what that firm looks like, how it works, how you'll be making money and what you do. The system of business coaching, our intellectual property, the way we go about it, that's the next video. So look forward to seeing you on the next video, and look forward to meeting you at some stage live, maybe whether it's finding out about the business or coming to training. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.